Imagine a world where one man's name was enough to make empires crumble. He wasn't just a conqueror, he was a force of nature, a literal plague sent to rewrite human history in blood. 40 million souls, that is the price of his glory. He killed so many people that the carbon levels of the earth actually dropped. He was the first and only human to cool the planet through mass slaughter. Even today, 8 centuries later, his ghost lives within us. Scientific studies suggest that 16 million men alive today carry his specific Y chromosome. He is the father of a nation and the nightmare of history. It began in 1162. A boy was born in the harsh Mongolian steppes, clutching a blood clot in his tiny fist. The shamans whispered in fear. This child was destined to hold the world. In a grip of iron, his father, Yasuge, was poisoned by a rival tribe. In an instant, the young Temujin went from a chief's son to an outcast. His own clan abandoned his family, leaving them to starve in the unforgiving winter. To survive, Temujin had to become a monster. At just 13, he murdered his own half-brother over a dispute about food. It was a cold, calculated execution. The boy was gone. The predator had arrived. His young bride Borte was snatched away in a midnight raid. This was the turning point. Temujin realized that in this land, you either own the sword or you die by it. He didn't just rescue his wife. He annihilated the Merkids. He fought with a fury the steppes had never seen. This wasn't just about love, it was about showing the world that Temujin was coming for everything. Mongolia was a chaotic mess of warring tribes. Temujin broke all the rules. He killed the corrupt aristocrats and promoted the poor but loyal soldiers. He was building an army of merit, not of bloodlines. In 1206, at the river Onon, he was declared Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. The scattered tribes were now one single, terrifying machine. Their eyes turned away from the grass and towards the riches of the world. The Mongol bow was the sniper rifle of the 13th century. Made of horn, wood, and sinew, it could pierce armor from 300 yards away. A Mongol warrior could fire 6 lethal arrows in a single minute while galloping. Every soldier had 5 horses. They could travel 80 miles a day, a speed that left their enemies paralyzed with shock. They lived off the land and, if needed, the blood of their own horses. China's Jin dynasty thought they were safe behind the Great Wall. Genghis saw it differently. He didn't just climb the wall. He starved the cities, turning the greatest civilization of the time into a graveyard of bones. The siege of Zhengdu was a nightmare of epic proportions. When the Mongols finally breached the gates, the massacre lasted for months. Ancient accounts say the streets were greasy with the fat of the dead. Genghis wanted trade, not war, with the West. But the Sultan of Khwarezm made a fatal error. He executed Genghis's ambassadors. He didn't realize he had just signed the death warrant of millions. To surprise the Sultan, Genghis did the impossible. He led his entire army through the Kizilkum Desert, a wasteland thought to be impassable. They emerged behind enemy lines, like demons rising from the sand. Samarkand was a jewel of the Silk Road. In days, it was a ruin. Genghis used the city's own citizens as human shields. He used psychological warfare to break the soul of the Islamic world. When Genghis's son-in-law was killed in Nishapur, the retaliation was absolute. Every living thing was killed, even the cats and dogs. 3 separate pyramids of skulls were built, one for men, one for women, and one for children. They weren't just savages. Genghis Khan created a global spy network. His merchants were secret agents, mapping every road, every well, and every weakness, long before the first arrow was fired. He created the YAM, the world's first high-speed postal system. Messengers could travel 300 miles in a single day. It was the internet of the 13th century. Under his rule, a woman could walk from Europe to China carrying a golden nugget on her head without fear. This was the times, Pax Mongolica times, a period of forced peace, where trade and ideas flourished in the shadow of the sword. His greatest general, Subutai, pushed into Europe. At the Battle of the Kalka River, the Mongols annihilated the Russian princes. Europe was wide open. Only the death of a great Khan could stop the Mongol tide. In 1227, at the height of his power, Genghis Khan died. Some say it was an illness. Others say it was a wound from a fall. Even in death, he remained a mystery, leaving behind an empire that spanned the globe. His funeral was a massacre. 2,000 people attended, and all were killed to keep the location secret. A river was diverted over his grave so that no man would ever disturb the rest of the universal ruler. Was he a monster or a visionary? He destroyed empires, but built the modern world. He killed millions, but gave us global trade. Genghis Khan remains the most terrifying and influential man to ever walk the earth.